Hello, welcome. Check It Out with Jessica Lee. I'm here with Natalie Fedie, who is the VP of Customer Value, Customer Success at HighRadius. Welcome to the show, Natalie.
Hi, Jessica. Thanks for having me. Really happy to be here.
I'm delighted to talk with you because you've done a phenomenal job at HighRadius, achieving over 95% retention, over $100 million in revenue that you're impacting. So I would love to hear more about, so first of all, what does HighRadius do? And then let's go into the tips and best practices that you can share with us.
Absolutely. So HighRadius is a fintech enterprise SaaS solution that leverages AI-based autonomous systems to help companies really automate their accounts receivables processes. And we have an integrated receivables platform that helps our customers really increase access to working capital by automating their entire order-to-cash process. Everything from credit to cash applications, deductions, collections, as well as electronic billing and payment processing. And then just recently, we launched a treasury management solution to support treasury teams across all industries. And that automates their cash forecasting, cash management, and bank reconciliation processes. So in today's world, you can see cash is king, and it's a pretty important part of the company's business.
HighRadius has over 2,000 employees. It's a large company. You're managing a team of over 300 people. Very important role, because we all know that once you have that client, it is so crucial to retain that relationship and grow the lifetime value, right? And that's what you do. So you're achieving higher retention than the industry average there. Definitely phenomenal, over 95% retention. So I wanted to get your thoughts on what should companies do? What are the key best practices and the lessons learned that you would like to share?
Sure, absolutely. In order to have a successful retention management program, first of all, companies need to have access to data. And that data is really around how their customers achieve value using their systems, right? So if you don't have this access to data, you're not going to be able to demonstrate to your clients how much value they're getting. So it's really important to be able to have data. And we have built really what we call our .1 performance framework that has different levels of data, starting with what is basic is your adoption metrics, right? So is your customer using the system, and how are they using the system? And then being able to provide the next level of data that is the your productivity of the actual workers, the users of the system, so that all, if they're using the system in the right way, that's going to drive and directly impact the value metrics or the value that the company wants to achieve with your system. And in our case, that might be DSO, decreasing days sales outstanding, or reducing bad debt in the case of finance. So I'm going to just say that having access to data is kind of the core means of having a great customer value program.
Okay. Let's talk about the key metrics that I'm sure that there's an ultimate key KPI that you look at, but there are little KPIs that you have to kind of drive together to achieve that. So tell us about what you look for and how you put it all together.
You're absolutely right. There are leading and lagging indicators, right? And the executives who are the buyers, the influential buyers who are buying your software, are the ones that care about those business metrics. And, at the end of the day, for finance leaders like us, they're looking at how much value can we provide them in terms of lowering their DSO, lowering operating expense, increasing cash flow, and those are the types of value metrics, right? Those are the highest level. But you are right that there are some KPIs that are leading indicators that will help you be able to track whether or not you're making progress towards those lagging indicators. And so that is how our framework has been built, with the KPIs like adoption, analyst productivity, and ultimately those are the KPIs that lead to the value metrics. So yes, I agree with you, and you really have to have all layers of those.
This role is such a fun role. So it's a very important role, but I know you love it. So tell us, what is it that makes you so passionate about this job?
I think that traditionally this role is called customer success, right? And I think that what really drives my passion is that we rebranded this customer value. And that means that we're hyper-focused on helping customers achieve their business outcomes. And that is what I like about customer value, because we're actually having tangible, measurable value that we're providing our customers. And that's what's exciting.
Natalie, you know, people will say customer success and it's kind of understood what that means, but in your title, it's customer value. So tell us, how is that different?
Exactly. I think, you know, Jessica, every company defines customer success a little bit differently, right? It's very hard to get your hands around what does that mean. It could be anything from a glorified customer support person all the way to an account manager that is proactively working with clients. So there's really no definition between what is customer success. For us and for me, customer value is very clear. We're very hyper-focused on helping our customers achieve those desired outcomes. And that is really what it is, plain and simple. And it's actually our clients also understand what that means too. And they're pretty excited when they hear that, you know, we're customer value managers, you know, rather than customer success. So that's the difference to me.
Okay. Natalie, you managed over 300 people worldwide. So maybe you can share about the way you structure your team so that you really motivate them and nurture them. You know, tell us about that. How do you break out the teams and how does it work?
Absolutely. Sure. Our customer value organization actually reports directly to the CEO. So you know how important that is, right? And under that umbrella of customer value, we have both the reactive, the technical support, the team that helps customers break fix, right? And then we also have the proactive side, or more of a traditional account management that you would think of, you know, in the sales world, right? Who proactively works with clients, and that's the focus on helping track and measure the value. So we have the team of customer value managers. I have both, we have enterprise team in the US, and we also have a team in India that helps support some of our mid-market and smaller accounts as well. So it's built out that way. And then on the tech support side is where we have the volumes of people. We have a US team as well as an India team as well.
Okay.
And to answer the second part of your question on how do you motivate them, right, is really we're a high performance organization that really measures a lot of our KPIs, and we hold our teams accountable. And part of those KPIs are actually achieving these lagging indicators that we talked about before, but retention is king, right? That's our key value. But underneath that, we pay a lot of attention to driving performance with those individuals, and we literally measure their performance on a regular basis to help keep them motivated towards their goal. So very focused on what we call VGIs, vision, goals, and initiatives.
And the way you motivate them in the financial structure is there is a base and commission structure, which is quite typical, I think, right? But you have a lot more base and less commission than the reverse, where salespeople have a lot more of the commission and less of the base.
That's right. We put a little more base, and then they have a bonus, right? And if they hit that retention number, that's when they get their full bonus. So everyone has a skin in the game on the retention. In fact, even some of our consulting teams, our services teams, as well as our tech support team all have some retention KPI as part of their bonus.
Okay, Natalie, let's dive into the practical tips of how do you achieve great customer value, right? I know you have enterprise and then you have SMB, but what exactly are you doing that really makes the difference? You know, you talk about playbooks, for example. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, absolutely, Jessica. You have to have a strong playbook in order to scale your customer value management processes, right? And for ours, for example, our playbook is built around the customer's life cycle. So we engage them at the right moment in time when they're new or they've just come out of, you know, implementation. We meet with them to make sure that they're welcomed, they have everything that they need to be a successful customer. And at that time, we're also validating that the value they want to achieve, that we're aligned, so that then we can continue on a monthly basis and meet with them to make sure that we're tracking and measuring toward that success. So our playbook is built around the customer life cycle and the engagement that we have with them at different times. And then the second thing is that we have to actually scale that with our teams to make sure that we're measuring their performance and tracking how many meetings are they having with clients. During those meetings, are they literally providing value to the customer in a way that almost like a challenger methodology? Are they educating them, bringing insightful information and teaching them something, and then, you know, closing the deal? If you do that, the natural opportunity, you build your trusted advisor relationship, right, with the customer, and ultimately they're looking to you to help build a roadmap for the future, and that upsell, cross-sell opportunity then just becomes almost natural. So it's a long answer to your question, but playbooks are so important.
With the enterprise account, you must do a lot more high touch, right? And less automation.
That's right. Even with our top clients, and we have a lot of enterprise clients, we have a high touch model. And it's almost like you have an account team, right? Where you're playing together with the sales rep, right? So you're coordinated with the sales rep. You know that they have their relationship that they're going to continue to have. You know, they've just sold them something. There might be an opportunity for upsell, but the customer value manager plays such an important role there. So it's almost a team effort. And then you can even add in on that enterprise, like a solutions architect or someone with a little more technical background that's really going to help the customer, again, build that roadmap for future expansion.
Excellent. So I like to ask if there's a lesson learned you could share, because I know not everything that is tried becomes perfect the first time. There's always some kind of hiccups along the way. Is there any lessons you'd like to share with us?
Absolutely. You know, one of the lessons learned I have is sometimes companies think from the inside out, right? They're constantly thinking about, well, this is my playbook. This is how I have to work with the sales team or the consulting team and whatnot. But I think a good lessons learned is that we have to look from the outside in. How does the customer experience, what is that experience as they go through those stages, as they go through all of those playbook plays? You know, what is that experience like for them? And at times we've learned that there has to be clarity for the client, and so that they know where to go when they need something, right? They're not having to navigate through all of these different people that they've met throughout their sales process or during the time. So having clarity of roles and responsibilities for the client and making it easy for them to just reach out and know who their customer value manager, almost like a concierge effect, you know, and that they can manage through. So that's one of the things that we've learned, is try to be very clear on roles and responsibilities so the customer has a great experience.
So in terms of training your agents, you know, because they have to be that front person and very knowledgeable, but work with resources to address. How do you train them to be an expert at that level?
You know, Jessica, you brought up a really good point. The biggest challenge I have is finding the right talent, right? Because the customer value role is such a broad role. They have to, especially on the enterprise side, they have to have that business acumen. They have to have the understanding of metrics and data. They even have to be somewhat of a project manager, because they are managing these accounts that are very big and complex, right? So finding the right person is very important. We've had success actually bringing people in at different levels and different backgrounds, even from the finance industry, right, where they've never done account management in their life, but they have that domain knowledge, which is really critically important for the customer. So that's where the playbooks come back into play, right, where we actually have documented, you know, and we have a formal training process that we put people through. It's everything from product training to just basic, you know, training on how to manage a meeting with an executive, right? So just some of those basic things. But we've been pretty successful with onboarding and then maintaining that talent. And then the second part of that is this continuous improvement of training, right? They don't learn it all at once, but we have very hands-on coaching. So our pod leads, we call them pod leads, and managers will actually join meetings and be there to actually provide guidance and do real-time coaching during these sessions. So that's great, or after the session, not during the session.
Now, you mentioned the challenger mentality when you're managing customers and helping them create value. So talk to us about that. Do you actually put them through the challenger sales training and then apply that in the customer success or customer value business?
Yeah, I really am a fan of the challenger methodology. And I think that what I've taken out of that whole concept of the challenger, right, is that every interaction you have with the customer must provide some type of value. And that is in the challenger, as an example, that's in the form of teaching them something, right? So I have developed a playbook, and in our engagement model, right, is that when our customer value managers meet with clients, they are required to provide some kind of insightful, thought leadership or some type of value to the meeting, so that they leave that meeting with the customer feeling that they've actually learned something or gotten value. Because in today's world, people are very busy. And so you don't just call up a customer and say, hey, I'd like to check in and see how you're doing today. That maybe worked in the old days when, it was all about relations. But right now it's all about, time is very precious, and you have to spend that time wisely.
Natalie, one of the hot topic is around how much selling should the customer success people do, because they may lose that credibility of being a trusted advisor. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Jessica, you touched on a hot topic. I think there's a big debate out there in the industry on whether or not customer success should be responsible for upsell, cross-sell, right? And I do come from the mentality that helping will sell, selling won't help. Right? So through the customer value and customer success playbook plays and engaging customers and building that trusted advisor, that the selling is really just a natural component of it, right? And so our goal is to help uncover and identify those upsell, cross-sell opportunities for our salespeople, because customer success can be a revenue generating. In my former and past companies that I've worked at in this role, our customer success teams generated over 50% of the revenue for the company. So I am very much in favor of having, the responsibility of selling, but doing it in the right way, right? Doing it in the right way. So there's a right and a wrong way. So thanks for bringing that up, because it is a really big topic out there.
Yeah, that's a challenging, that's kind of like where you have to be sensitive to, and I think this is where I find that the role of customer success managers is a fascinating role, because you're combining a salesperson's mentality, a customer support person's mentality, but also a marketing person's, right? All of that combined into one person. And so you have to be very helpful and truly technical help, but at the same time, keep in mind that that's a revenue number to achieve. But
that's right.
You got to look out for the client's best interest, because in the long run, you're right. Are you truly being the trusted advisor, looking out for their best interests for the long run? That's what you should have.
Yep, we are always selling, right? We are always selling in a way that we're offering the most relevant and a prescriptive, solution that's going to help them achieve those goals. And when that happens, they will pay a lot of money for that value. And I've even had customers reach out to me personally and say, I don't want to talk to a salesperson. I want to talk to you, and I would love to expand. And I'm like, oh, they don't think I'm a salesperson at all, but we're able to help them move to the next level.
Yeah. That's when you smile, right? You're like, oh.
Exactly. I gotcha.
Well, this has been fascinating, and I appreciate you being on the show to share best practices in customer value creation here. Thank you so much, Natalie.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
There you have it. Take it up with Jessica Lee, Natalie, Fedie from HighRadius.